cream and onion!
Gather round the bird bath shrine with our tools for a rite divine. There's the squid-like thing the witches brought, a ritual sacrifice so dearly bought. We've chanted the spells and done all that we ought. We've had an orgy and branded human skin. Now with the greenstone idol, we're ready to begin. But something's just not right, there's still a final key, a secret ingredient to set Cthulhu free. Sea lettuce, algae, and the finest sea salt, octopus powder from the wizard's vault. Teriyaki chips aren't just a snack, they're the spell components to bring Cthulhu back. Oh, you can summon Cthulhu with sour cream and onion. They have no magic power, they're just for munching. If you want to wake Cthulhu from his sleep, you need teriyaki flavors from oceans deep. Oh, you can summon Cthulhu with sour cream and onion. They have no magic power, they're just for munching. If you want to wake Cthulhu from his sleep, you need teriyaki flavors from oceans deep. At the 7-Eleven, a man laughed loud and cruel. When we bought the chips, he called me a fool. But we know the truth, the answer is clear. Teriyaki chips will bring Cthulhu near. We're standing in a circle, hands held tight. The bird bath's ready, the time just feels right. But the chips we have, they just won't do. Sour cream and onion can't summon you know who. Sea lettuce, algae, and the finest sea salt, octopus powder from the wizard's vault. Teriyaki chips aren't just a snack, they're the spell components to bring Cthulhu back. Oh, you can summon Cthulhu with sour cream and onion. They have no magic power, they're just for munching. If you want to wake Cthulhu from his sleep, you need teriyaki flavors from oceans deep. Our faces, we've paid the price, but now the snacks we choose, they must entice. Teriyaki brings the ocean's might. With every crunch, we summon the night. Forget the plain, forget the mild, Cthulhu's tastes are dark and wild. We need the chips that speak of the deep, to wake the god from ancient sleep. Lettuce, algae, and the finest sea salt, octopus powder from the wizard's vault. Teriyaki chips aren't just a snack, they're the spell components to bring Cthulhu back. Oh, you can summon Cthulhu with sour cream and onion. They have no magic power, they're just for munching. If you want to wake Cthulhu from his sleep, you need teriyaki flavors from oceans deep. We had gathered around, hearts filled with belief, but our chips just brought us grief. The stars weren't right, the time was wrong, but we'll try again with teriyaki, we'll be strong.
Hey everyone, welcome, good to see you on this Wednesday night. It's the Cultist Wednesday night, a tradition that we've kind of started here, where we're going to be going live, talking about the Cultist RPG, maybe doing some sort of watch-throughs with other people, and so forth on Wednesday nights. And so it is great to see everyone. Welcome to my home, welcome to the office, and Cthulhu Fatagan, I suppose. So good to see everybody. So tonight, what we're going to be doing is our main event is going to be talking about the Cultist RPG, which we designed on the Heath's Geekverse channel. I got edits and commentary from James Bacon, a community favorite, and I said, hey, why don't we actually go over your commentary live? And we got about halfway through the book last week, and I thought, hey, why don't we go ahead and finish this? That way we have a completely edited book that can go out. Of course, you can already get a preview of the book, but can go out to people, I don't know, who might want to play online, do some play testing online, and maybe even on live stream and stuff. So everyone, please welcome James Bacon.
Hello,
welcome, James.
Everyone. Hello, Heath. Thanks for having me.
Good to see you. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Great. Yes. Thank you very much for agreeing to be here for a second night in a row, or second week in a row.
You got it. I want to start off, and I know we already talked about this behind the scenes a little bit, but if it gets too loud in the kitchen, which is right over next to me, let me know, and I'll just mute myself periodically so that I don't, make this unwatchable.
Thanksgiving prep going on?
Yeah, Thanksgiving prep.
Well, okay. So first of all, I want to say that James, do you want to introduce yourself to everybody here, and I'm going to
Oh,
bring up your
sure.
YouTube channel and put that up
Yeah,
here.
sure. I'm James Bacon. I head up the Better with Bacon YouTube channel, which recently has been doing arcane discussions with the Titterpig Rancher, otherwise known as Sable Phoenix here or in the Geekverse. So we've been doing that. I also do, or I should say, I mostly do RPG discussion. That being tabletop role playing games specifically. I tend to exclude video games, but we've kind of had some scheduling road bumps, I'll say, and so we've kind of been pushing things out a little bit. I am planning on getting a video out either tonight or tomorrow, though, just a brief one on role playing. And so if you're into role playing or discussions on film, I guess kind of like what Heath does, there's another channel you can kick on over to and give us a watch.
All right. And I'm Heath. If you don't know me, if you're new to this channel, we're streaming on the Cultist YouTube channel. I'm also streaming to X. I've got it hooked up so I can now stream to X too. So I'm streaming to my X account. But we're streaming, I imagine a lot of people are watching on YouTube on the Cultist channel. My name is Heath Robinson. I am the creator, producer, and co-writer of the Cultist show and the creator of the RPG we're going to be talking about right here. So that's who I am. We've got other things going on, as I should bring up too. That if you enjoy our discussions here, James and I are actually going to be talking tomorrow night again, but we're going to be talking on a different channel. This is the Table Talk channel. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving, but hey, I'm going to be doing my Thanksgiving early with people for lunch and things like that. Table Talk for Arcane with James Bacon. This is a separate channel that I run, but James agreed to, hey, let's go ahead and just talk on Thanksgiving. Hey, there may be people out there in the Geekverse who are already done with their Thanksgiving, like I will be, or might not have a Thanksgiving, and you come hang out with us. So we're going to be talking about Arcane theme and plot tomorrow night.
Should be fun. I'm very excited and worried.
Yeah, well, so that'll be a big discussion. That'll be 7:00 Central Time, 8 Eastern, tomorrow night on a different channel. So the Table Talk channel, I just put that link in the comments. So if you are enjoying our conversation, you're like, hey, would like to know what you have to say about Arcane. Which last night, if you go to that channel, Brianna, who is the director of the show, and you just heard her director's commentary, Brianna was on Table Talk with Doug Burton and me last night talking about Arcane. I thought it was a great conversation. So you can see that live stream. I'm going to be bringing out clips of that soon. I was up. I spent about up at 4:00 this morning. I spent about 3.5 hours editing last night's discussion, and we'll get it out on that channel. But then also, if you enjoy talking about RPGs, there's another channel, which is Heath's Geekverse. On Sunday, we're going to be back to talking about the Fated Edge RPG. Heath's Geekverse, Fated Edge RPG. I'll put that link as well. So that'll be on Sunday morning, 9:30 a.m. Central Time, 10:30 Eastern. We'll be there talking about the Fated Edge RPG design, and that's always a fantastic conversation. So there's that. There's only one more thing, and that is if you are here and you are not signed up on the Cultist email list, we're going to be bringing this RPG we're designing to Kickstarter next year, 2025. I'm hoping early in the year, but a big thing about, hey, when do we get to bring the Kickstarter out? It's email signups. It's what kind of email signups do we have? Of course, I email you and let you know when like this stream is going live. So we have a $500 Elder Dice giveaway. This signs you up for the Cultists. Sign up for the mailing list and know what happens. When videos go up or we're going live or something like this, and then also when the RPG launches, we will give away on the Morning Grind live stream over on Heath's Geekverse $500 worth of Elder Dice, which are dice that I helped design. I was still part of the company who made these when these were all made. $500 worth of Elder Dice. They come in magnetic polyhedral spell book boxes, and each set has a different Lovecraftian symbol for the highest value on each die. And when you sign up there, this is big since we're talking about RPGs. When you sign up there, you will get a link to download the preview of the rules. So you will get a preview of all these rules as soon as you sign up there. You can take a look at the prizes, and then also see a little bit more about the cultists, and also things like the shirts that Brianna designed for the cultists. Our director, she's also a graphic artist, so there'll be shirts that are coming to Kickstarter and other things as well. You get to see all of that when you go there, including the "You Can't Summon Cthulhu with Sour Cream and Onion" T-shirt. We've got it. All right. So I guess that's enough of an intro. So James, I think we should talk about. We watched Brianna's commentary together. You want to talk about that for just a moment? About season 2
sure.
and start that before we start actually the RPG.
Hearing what's going on behind the scenes. First of all, I think I've come this week a lot more prepared. I went and I looked up some of the some of the people's IMDb's who were in the cultists, and as it turns out, Dax Rocker, Rob, apparently has credits for mic operation, camera operation, all within the cultists. So like that honestly gives me a brand new perspective on the show, that when he's not in front of the camera as Rob, he's behind the camera doing all this other stuff. I think that's absolutely fantastic. I've been on projects like that where if you're not in front of the camera, you're helping out in some other way behind the camera. That's absolutely fantastic. But like getting to Brianna's commentary, I think one of the things that stood out to me was when they were actually performing the ritual in the dark. I didn't know you had to ADR the dialogue, or maybe I did. Maybe you did mention that, and then I just forgot. And it was, I was reminded in the director's commentary there, but also the fact that she kind of she winged it, right, for the symbol on the ground. She was like,
She
that's
winged it
sort
for
of
the symbol on the ground. Yeah.
which I think is so authentic to the story, because that's exactly what they would have done, right? Like they believe they have this sort of comprehensive understanding of occultism as it applies to, the esoteric order of Dagon, and just kind of like doing it on the ground like that, I think it adds a lot of personality, and it's very authentic to the situation, I think. Additionally, just kind of allowing them to riff in that moment. In what order was this episode filmed? Was it early on or was it later?
This was probably about midway. Really, this was probably about midway. I can't remember exactly, but it was probably about midway. I want to say we did this night because it was a night shoot, and we didn't realize how difficult a night shoot would be. And then I want to say that after this, we went to do the house. I could be a little bit wrong about that, but we had done the park, and then I think we stopped because we did this night shoot here, and then we went to the house.
I would have guessed that it was later, mid to later, because of how organic their riffing was off of each other. It was like, in a circumstance where if this was one of the first scenes that you filmed, it might have been a little bit more awkward as they're coming to understand each other's camera presence and characters and whatnot. But it was a very, Rob showing up at the door and just kind of standing there, and his line delivery is fantastic.
Well, I guess that would have been later because that was at the house. I was thinking about the riffing.
No, yeah, that's what I
at the night shoot. Yeah, at the night shoot. Yeah.
But just the whole episode it is a fantastic introduction to Rob. Also, I guess I'm kind of not surprised to hear that it was difficult to cast for Rob, right? Because Rob is a very particular personality. So I'm not surprised to hear that it was difficult to cast for Rob, but I think that, Dax surely nailed it. Not that I was in the room and got to see all the other auditions, but having seen him,
I would love to find those tapes. We got the audition tape someplace. I would love to find those.
Oh, that would be great. That would be great. Do you have? I mean, you have, I guess, all of the rights to those tapes.
Yeah. So,
that would be.
If we could ever find them, it would be great to put out like a collection of all the cast's initial, audition. Yeah, the audition that they did for those. Yeah,
that would be very neat to see.
Yeah, that was a very the night shoot was a very difficult. Well, I mean, I guess we actually had two different night shoots. There was the night shoot at the house because that was shot at a different day, and then that was in the backyard of the Airbnb that we had rented. So that was a night shoot, and then for a little while at least, and then a more extensive night shoot was in my backyard. So they were in my backyard when they shot all of that, and I made that gravestone and put that up. My Aunt Carol was actually also very instrumental in making it. She may have been the one who did most of the actual manufacture of that. But I left that gravestone up in the backyard for as long as I possibly could. It was nailed into the ground, and so I just left it there. And eventually, the wood rotted that I had and then it fell over. But I left it sitting there as long as possible in case we needed it. And then also when my nephews came over, I just told them that there was somebody who was dead in my backyard, and that sometimes their relatives would come over and leave like flowers or something in the backyard.
That's hilarious.
So PH says Brianna came across as incredibly charismatic in this format. Maybe it was because she was following a script, allowing her to focus more on delivery. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not sure if she scripted it or not. I'm not sure.
Well, either way, I agree with him.
I'm not. Yeah, she says that, or no, PH says that it left him wanting to hear more from her. Yeah, and I agree. I get inspired when I hear Brianna's commentary on it. I do, and remember everything that it was, and everything I think it still could be. So we will see.
The thing with Brianna is that she's very interested in learning about what she doesn't know, right? So I think, gosh, it's got to be over a year ago now. On one of the streams, I brought up Kisho Tenketsu, the Japanese story structure. I mentioned that in the chat, and she, as soon as she read that, I believe she literally stopped everything that she was saying to say, "Oh, I'm interested in that. Tell me about it." So I told her about it, and then maybe a week or two later, she was there with all of this research that she had done and like really trying to gain an understanding of that particular story structure. I find that to be a very an intensely dedicated approach, which is inspiring. So I agree. I like hearing her talk about these things because of how passionate she is for them.
When you're talking about Dax, in season 1, now he did camera operation for one scene later. He wanted to learn those things too.
Mm-hmm.
So he did camera operation for a scene in season 6 that I think Brianna will call out in her commentary. But then in season 2, yeah, he was the boom operator for a lot of it. So he was there because we'll talk, once maybe next year when season 2 is released here on this channel, we will see that. But yeah, so when Dax was not on camera, he was still there almost every day of the shoot as technical crew.
That's fun.
So
this was his first this was his first project, yes?
It was not like his first credit. First thing, but it was his first like anything like this. Like so many of us. Yeah.
That's really awesome that you would give him such a huge opportunity to learn on set like that with the different roles.
Well, we were all like that. I mean, we were always shorthanded, and
yeah.
And of course we were all learning. I mean, we're putting a lot of, there's a lot of emphasis on season 1, and I think that that's deserved. That I want more people to see it. I'm trying to get more stuff out about it and things like that. But Brennan, the director of photography, who is my cousin-in-law, is that a real thing? Someone who's married to your cousin? You have a cousin-in-law? So Brennan, the director of photography, is my cousin-in-law, and he was like, "Yeah," because this was years ago. It's like not my best work. So like if we got to go at it again. Man, Brennan, from a technical perspective of the videography, he's had several, professional jobs, since then. Of course, done a lot more study on his own, done a whole lot more stuff, done professional jobs, complete equipment upgrades. Just everything. And so we're still we're watching, where we were years ago. we would be someplace different if we get to do something else, do something more. And I think about that a lot. All right, you want to talk about the RPG?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, so if somebody is coming in new now, Bacon and I talked about this last week. So on the Heath's Geekverse YouTube channel, which I did put a link out to for the Faded Edge, but if you go to the Heath's Geekverse channel, there is an extensive playlist about the Cultists RPG. We designed this live online. We wanted it to be an RPG about the Cultists that could be played and even played online, perhaps on a live stream and so forth. When we had, I was told about this RPG called Low Stakes, which is written by Craig Campbell of Nerdburger Games, and it was specifically designed to bring what we do in the shadows to the tabletop. But when we read that, we were like, oh my God, we have to do a cultist adaptation of that. It took a long time to develop, like everything does. But this is where the point where we've gotten to, and I really appreciate Craig for allowing the adaptation of his rules to the cultists. He saw it, he thought it was hilarious. So this is where we are. So we got about halfway. It's not a long rule book. This is not a Dungeons and Dragons 500-page rule book. This is an improv, narrative-driven game, GM optional. We'll get into the GM part of this tonight. We had so much fun designing it online. There was a lot of comments back and forth as we were going, and then I sent it over to Bacon for editing, and then I was like, hey, why don't we just look at all this live online? So if we're jumping into, I believe we got to adjudicating action. So last time we had gone through getting started, how to play, and adjudicating actions. So if you're just and now we're starting with adjudicating actions. So if you are just jumping in now, welcome. I think it'll be fine. But just be aware, there's another live stream that's here on the Cultist channel that will give you the first of it, getting started and how to play. That was last week. So we're moving forward here with adjudicating actions. Anything else I need to say about that, Bacon?
No, we're good to roll on, I think.
All right, so I believe that gets everybody caught up. I've noticed that when you're designing an RPG online, not everybody's there every day. So you have to bring everybody up to speed. Okay, so adjudicating actions. Although the majority of the game can be managed through spontaneous improvisation, with players determining the success or failure of their actions by applying their own judgment as a group, there are some circumstances where they will need to use a few simple rules to adjudicate whether or not important actions succeed or fail, or to provide a structure to inject complications and humor into the game. These rules include the use of two meta currencies, courage and sway, which we'll be covering first. So you have a comment here that says, added to place a definitive break between the two types of rules categories. Feel free to remove or change it. Courage and sway, which we will be covering first, as well as checks, headaches, and asides. Okay. I'm fine. Yeah, let's do it. Because, yeah, that does give us structure, because we're going to go into the meta currencies first. Courage and sway, as well as checks, headaches, and asides. So our meta currencies are the Cultist RPG uses two meta currencies to manage the game, courage and sway. So courage. Courage represents a character's inner determination. Player characters start the game with one courage point and can earn more as the game progresses by being the scene moderator. Page YYY. This is not the layout version of this, so we just put that in there so when we know that we need to put in a page number. And passing trouble checks, page YYY. They can improve the chance of rolling successes at either trouble or sway checks by spending them to roll extra dice. See the checks again. There's no limit to the number of courage points a character could accumulate, but players should be looking for opportunities to spend them frequently to avoid building up too large a point pool, which risks the game ending before they can be spent. But no small that they can't overcome a trouble in order to achieve a happy ending for themselves. Added some verbiage, moved around some other verbiage. Okay, so we need to work on verbiage.
So I just repositioned that, but which risks the game ending before they can be spent.
I don't know, but no small. There, I don't. I'm gonna.
Yeah, that's confusing, and that could be something that I botched when I moved the text.
Yeah,
Let
it
me see.
just sounds like
No
there's an
limit to the
error
number
in the
of
language.
points a character can accumulate, but players should be looking for opportunities to spend them frequently to avoid building up too large a point pool, which risks the game ending before they can be spent. That should
That sounds like a good
sentence.
sentence.
That should be
Yeah.
a period. Yeah. But no small that they can't overcome a trouble. Yeah, I probably botched that when I moved the text. I apologize. But good news, I have a projects folder on my desktop. And if you give me a moment, I can open it up and I can see if I can find my projects folder. I should have your original text. So let me see here.
Oh,
Editing
okay.
projects.
I probably have that too.
No.
I mean, I think we're trying to say that's weird. Yeah, I think something was just botched in the translation here. But I think you were trying to say something, or maybe I was too. Whatever the original was. But sometimes you may need 2 or 3 points to ensure you overcome a trouble to achieve a happy ending for yourself, or something like that.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna see what I can find here. We can progress and then come back to this because it might take me a minute to find the original file. But yeah, I apologize for that. I accept all responsibility for that, obviously.
To help your character.
So courage represents a character's inner determination. Player characters start the game with 1 courage point. Then improve the chance of rolling successes, either trouble or sway checks, by spending them to roll extra dice. Huh. File, open.
But yeah, as far as the structure of our rules here goes, this is telling you, okay, we've got courage as a meta currency. This is going to send you to other parts of the rule books. I mean, structuring a rule book is a thing. So this puts down the marker about, okay, adjudicating actions. You'll need here are the meta currencies and what they mean. They are going to everybody starts the 1, and what they represent the character's inner determination. Player characters start the game with 1 courage point and can earn more as the game progresses by being the scene moderator and then by passing trouble checks. And they can improve the chance of rolling successes at either trouble or sway checks by spending them to roll dice. Exactly how, though, it sends you to another section. But I think that's okay. I mean, you got to make choices about what's explained when. And then no limit to the potential accumulation, but right, if it's like the hero quests, you don't want to be the wizard saving all the spells until the end because you're not gonna have time to use them. So let them flow. That's what we're trying to say.
Yes.
I mean, do we need this last sentence? But sometimes you might need 2 or 3 points to help you.
No, we likely don't need that, and I actually did find it in the original edit. So it looks like this is verbiage. At least this part is something that I added for clarity, but I ended up causing confusion because I think that while I was typing, I maybe went too fast and didn't double check my own self. I think what I was trying to, so there's no limit to the number of courage points a character can accumulate, but players should be looking for opportunities to spend them frequently to avoid building up too large a point pool.
Too large.
Yes, too large a point pool, which risks the game ending before they can be spent. But not so small, I think, is what I meant to say. But not so small that they can't overcome a trouble in order to achieve a happy ending. So the idea is that they kind of want to achieve a balance. They don't want too many points. They do want to constantly spend them, but they don't want to spend so much of them in any given moment that they can't overcome a trouble to ensure that they get a happy ending. That's the idea that I get here from the original law.
I think we cover that, though, when you say too large.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
Don't use them frequently to avoid having more than 1. Like that would be different. Like
Yes, yeah.
So
yeah, we can likely just chop that bit. No big deal.
All right, there we go. All right, sway. Okay, sway is very important here. So when a character has sway, it means that character has the upper hand among their fellow cultists. Characters gain sway when they succeed on a sway check. Each character, which see page number. Every character has a list of sway skills which they can use to get the edge on other members of the group, perhaps by impressing them or otherwise earning their respect. The character with sway rolls an additional die on all trouble checks, page YYY. Also, when the game concludes, one way to ensure the story ends well for your character is to have sway at the end of the game. See YYY. But also, we talked a lot about this on the Morning Grind live streams on the Geekverse channel. But also,
I
the
think
player character. Oh, good.
I was just going to say, I think this is one of the most complete, well realized sections for the game. I don't remember having very many comments for this. It was really banged on during the live streams.
Yeah, we did go. We went on this on a lot. Yeah, I remember that. But also, the player character with sway can persuade a target character to undertake an action that complies with his or her character's desires. Describe how your character uses his or her character traits to get the other character to acquiesce. It could be charm, flattery, sound reasoning, a threat, or anything else, but it very likely will work. Remember, the character has sway because they have recently done something impressive, so other characters are likely predisposed to be deferential to them. Because having sway confers so many advantages to the character, the player of the targeted character will often choose to comply with the wishes of the sway holder and undertake the desired action. In exchange, the target takes sway from the previous character. So that's not the only way you can get sway. So I remember we hammered that out quite a bit because you get, and we do say that, characters gain sway when they succeed on a sway check. So you're going to be setting that up. But here is another way the person with sway can close to force an action. But we did say that alternatively, in rare circumstances, the player of the target character may not want to comply with the request of the sway holder, perhaps for narrative or role-playing reasons. In this case, the target may describe how he or she avoids doing what the sway holder wants, possibly through trickery, manipulation, stubbornness, or any other means. The sway holder is rebuffed, but retains sway for later use. So if you really don't want to do it, we're not making you. But getting sway is a pretty big deal because you get your you get an additional die on all trouble checks, and if the game concludes when you've got it, then you get a happy ending. So I mean, it's a big deal to have it. Yeah. So it's a big deal it's being given up. Only one player can have sway at a time, which is different from courage. Courage, everybody's accumulating, but only one player can have sway at a time. And unlike with courage, characters cannot store sway. A character either has it or they do not. If another player gains sway, then it's lost by the player who has had it. An easily identifiable token or other object should be used to indicate which player character has sway at the table, but can also be marked on the character sheet if no such object is handy.
As I was editing this, and I'm recalling as we read this, I almost put a little note in here that said an easily identifiable token or other object should be used to indicate which player's character has sway at the table, and then in parentheses, such as a fish attached to a headband, close parentheses, and then it's finished out. I didn't do it, but, you know, it could
or
be.
Just like a rubber fish.
Or, yeah, like a rubber fish or something like that, yeah. I think recently we talked about like a big mouth Billy Bass being one of the oracles that they would consult.
Yeah, and I would love to do that. And actually, the sway token itself, I believe it's the sway token. One of the tokens that's on the virtual tabletop has the fish on it, has a rubber fish on it. We got a token for the leader and for the sway, and one of them has a fish.
That's awesome.
But when we release this, I'm trying to not do anything that can't be done print on demand. So, you know, we can do it. But in the future, for a follow-up campaign or something, I've got like the fish sculpted.
The official cultists rubber fish. That's
right. To become like a foam fish for this or other uses, whatever your other uses might be.
Yeah, sure. There's plenty of uses for a rubber fish.
We can do that. Okay. So checks. Most of the time, when a player describes the action, or it should be an action, describes an action. It sounds like an when I was reading that out. Most of the time, when a player describes an action their character takes, it is automatically successful. Other players react to it, and the story moves forward. However, there are two circumstances where players must roll dice to determine the success or failure of an action. This is called making a check. A player must make a check whenever 1, their character attempts to gain sway with their fellow cultists by using one of their sway skills, or 2, when they attempt a task involving one of their troubles. A character, oh, you know what I see right now looking down the side? That trouble checks comes first and then sway checks. So we should reverse their order right here.
Oh, to sway and then trouble?
Yeah. When 1, check whenever they attempt a task involving one of their troubles, or 2, their character attempts to gain sway with their fellow cultists by using one of their sway skills. That keeps the order of the sentence and the way they're about to be described.
Yep, I like that.
A character may only attempt 1 check per scene. So that's different from other RPGs. We're not going to do a million jump a pit checks in one scene. But a character may only attempt 1 check per scene, and only then if it makes sense within the structure of the story being told. I don't know if we need then. And only 1 check per scene, and only if it makes sense within the structure of the story being told. For this is PH says this is a very clever and balanced rule for a more narrative game. Thank you. Yeah, and of course, big props to Craig Campbell, who this is based on. I think we did extend his game quite a bit, and I'm very proud of that. But yeah, he definitely gave us a foundation from which to work on.
Have you contacted him for maybe like a back cover quote or something like that?
I have not. I should do that. I haven't. I mean, I haven't talked to him in a while. I should reach out to him again. Let him know we're doing these streams and things like that.
Yeah. See what he has to say.
Okay, so a character may only attempt 1 check per scene, and only if it makes sense within the structure of the story being told. For example, the lackey has the sway skill, impress someone with your attention to detail and focus. But if that skill is not relevant to the scene, it cannot be used. Players are free to argue their case if they see some particular way the skill may indeed be relevant, but they should all mutually agree as to when skills can be used and checks should be made. Keep in mind that the game will be more fun if there's a bias for action and characters are frequently allowed to at least try what they want to do. So it says, to make a check, roll a single 6-sided die and see if it meets or exceeds a difficulty DC. Yeah, I know. So okay, so yeah, so
what did I say?
Yeah, you say what does the C in DC stand for? I mean, I know what it means, but you should probably spell it out here to avoid confusion for new players. Should we just say difficulty?
Yeah, that's fine. Or, it's look, like who's the audience, right? Like if the audience is the well-practiced role-playing person, then they're going to know what a DC is. You can leave it in. I just wanted to make sure that I pointed it out. Like, you don't have to change it. You can leave it difficulty and you can leave it DC. I just wanted to point it out.
Okay, so one thing we could say is just say difficulty class.
Yes.
Or difficulty number and make it DN. But let's make that the one thing that makes the least amount of change, everybody knows what a difficulty class is if you're a 5e player.
Yeah. And additionally, if this is someone's first role-playing game, because who knows, it could be, this will sort of get them into the practice of that nomenclature. You're familiarizing them when their horizons eventually broaden beyond, what they're comfortable with. So, but it's really, like I said, I just wanted to point it out. It's not, there's nothing wrong with it. It was just, it depends on who you want to speak to as the audience in this.
The change that requires the least amount of changes is to add the word class right there.
Yeah.
Even if it's not explained, because it could be difficulty number DN, but that's different, and I don't think it should be a D.
No, well, that could be funny.
That could be funny, but
yeah, if you put difficulty number in there, you're gonna have to do a find replace for all the DCs. But
for all the DCs,
which could be a nightmare.
But I think if you're just looking on your character sheet and you see DC, most people know what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so to make a check, roll a single 6-sided die and see if it meets or exceeds a difficulty class DC. DCs for trouble checks are always 6. Difficulty class DCs for sway skill checks are always 5. If the die equals or exceeds the DC, the action is successful. Players may improve their character's chance of success in 2 ways. 1, for every point of courage spent, the player may roll an additional die. You may spend as many courage points as your character has in his or her reserve. 2, the player with sway rolls an additional die on any trouble checks they make. When multiple dice are rolled in a check, at least one die, we're not adding them together, at least one die must equal or exceed the DC of the check for the action to be successful. Anytime a check is failed, you must introduce a headache, see the section on headaches, into the game. So if you fail, you're complicating the story. You're not just, oh, I didn't do it. You're complicating the story.
Which is great because it's the story is developing either way.
The story is developing either way. Right. Yes.
And so frequently in real life, that's how consequences are treated, right? Like if you fail to do something, it's not just, well, I failed and I'm moving forward. It's I failed and now I have to deal with this other thing.
Right. Yes. And it's not like you're not rolling 20 checks per scene. You know, you're only character's only going to roll 1. So
yeah,
something's going to happen when you do that. OPH says, just an intrusive thought. How about TD, trial difficulty? I think touchdown when I see TD.
I think touchdown
here
too.
in the United States. But okay, I mean, I actually like TN. Like I was using TN and Faded Edge for target number. Yeah, I kind of like that. But DC, I believe DC was in here is because that's what Craig was using.
You know, I do not recall on the live stream why you went with DC. But it's a deliberate choice for sure. I just don't know. I don't recall what the reasoning given was.
Let me see if I've got the digital version of low stakes. Oh no, he uses TN target. He uses TN.
Huh.
I'm looking on here. I got TN.
Well, then the deliberate choice was likely to make it either familiarize new players with, common nomenclature or allow people who are already familiar with it to know what it is.
Okay, yeah, I don't remember that discussion. I actually just don't remember having a deep discussion on that. Because why? Because I kind of like target number, so it's interesting that he's got target number here. Okay, well, I don't remember. Okay, maybe I changed it over to something more generic. I don't remember. But I do know I've got DC throughout the thing now. So maybe it should stay. But it could go TN. I like target number. All right, okay, so trouble checks. Trouble checks are made when a character wants to act against part of their nature that ordinarily makes life difficult for them. See troubles, page YYY. Succeeding in a trouble check during the game is one way for the story to end well for your character. So if you are able to overcome some type of psychological obstacle or whatever kind of obstacle to your character, then during the course of the story, then things are going to work out for you. You pushed yourself. That's what's going on here.
Yeah.
Succeeding at a trouble check during the game is one way for the story to end well for your character. Players should try to craft a storyline that ends on a positive note for any character who passed a trouble check during the game. See concluding the story, PYYY. Therefore, players may want to put their characters in situations where they must confront the troubling aspects of their lives and hopefully overcome them, possibly dedicating several saved courage points to the check. Trouble check should only be made when there are clear stakes for the character regarding whether or not they will overcome their trouble. If there would be no significant consequences for giving into the trouble, then no trouble check should be rolled. For example, okay, we got an example here. Example: Dave, the casual cultist of Cthulhu, is heavily involved in his band in the mundane world, and so plays the narrative role of the conflicted. One of his troubles is resisting the temptations of the mundane world. This means that Dave is usually distracted from the cult by the band and all of its activities. That's a reoccurring story beat for his character. When the band's temptation arises, Dave gives in. If Dave just has to choose between grabbing a pizza with the cultist or getting a beer with the band, a trouble check is likely not warranted. Dave gives in to his default state and goes with the band. However, there may be a critical point in the narrative where Dave must resist that temptation so as to prioritize joining the cult for an important ritual rather than going to band practice. Because the ritual is so important, the player believes it is narratively appropriate for Dave to try to resist the band and join the cultists instead. Therefore, Dave's player can make a trouble check to see if Dave resists the temptation. Dave may even want to expend, I'm going to say, several points of courage to help ensure this check is successful. That was kind of a controversial example for different reasons, but I still think
you can get rid of the A, expend several points instead of expend.
Oh, yeah.
Why was that controversial?
It was controversial because this happens to be an example where it's actually it's not only a character getting into a trouble, but it's removing that character from the scene potentially. But I still think it's a very clear example. But we came to the conclusion that we looked over everybody's troubles, and it's not like every trouble is like that you give into the trouble and so you don't get to actually partake in the scene. And it's not like the game master couldn't choose to follow him, or if the game master's there couldn't choose to play something like that. So it's a very clear example. But some people had trouble with it because it's like, wait a minute, if I fail my check, I can't participate in the important scene. But I think it's still a very clear example.
Well, I think really it depends on how they will participate in the scene, right? So maybe instead of removing them from the scene entirely, let's say that they will act in a way that will try to hasten the cultists, potentially causing additional headaches and troubles as they go, because they're now not really all there and focused. So I get why that could be concerning to say that, oh, if I fail my check, I can't play in the scene. But there are creative ways to not have to just remove yourself, I think. So
I think so too. So I think because it's a very clear example from the conflict. And so
yeah. And that's really what matters here in this particular instance, is that you understand the concept based on the example that's given, not that this is actually going to come up in actual play.
So if you succeed on a trouble check, your character acts counter to that part of their nature, successfully accomplishes the action despite the fact that no one expected to, and the character gains 2 courage points. If you fail, you must include a headache into the game. Oh, add a cross-reference. A headache into the game. Yes.
And I don't know, do you want to add a cross-reference to courage points too? I feel like at this point in the book, you've mentioned them so frequently that people are going to be familiar by the time they get here to read this. That was my reasoning for not mentioning it. But then again, if someone is not familiar with the rules and they just come straight here based on the table of contents to say, okay, well, what's a trouble check? And then it says courage points. You're like, well, what are courage points? And there's no cross-reference that can be. That's up to you.
I can see that either way.
Yeah, it's like,
because by this time you've already passed. I mean, I think, because one rule you could say is that we're only going to put the reference in there if it's after this point, if you're reading through the rules.
That makes sense. And also, like, courage points are used so frequently throughout this book that, and they're going to be on the character sheet. So, like, it's pretty intuitive at this point, I would say.
We got PH has provided a bunch of trial rank, effort level, task threshold. Actually, so that could be neat to use.
I like threshold particularly because it's very thematic with cultists and the thresholds of symbols or the thresholds of doors. Or I quite like that term.
Challenge rank, barrier level, difficulty mark, DM. That's DM. That might be a problem. Proving rank, obstacle class, struggle rating. I'll think on that more. I have to update not only across this, but across multiple files because the character sheets have already been created. So I'll think on that. Okay, so sway checks. Sway checks are made when a player character wants to use one of his or her special sway skills to get a leg up on other cultists. Only one player can attempt a sway check in a scene. To be eligible to make one, the character must undertake a narrative action associated with the sway skill they possess that would garner favorable attention from the others or earn their respect, even if only temporarily. Sway skills do not necessarily have to be used against the other player characters. Using them to solve a situation with non-player characters, but in an apparent way that would make the other cultists take note, would also work. But in a I don't know if I need a parent, but in a way that makes.
Oh yeah, that's fine. But in a way that would make other cultists take note. That's fine.
But in a way that makes the other cultists take note would also work. Yes. Okay. The lead has priority in making the scene sway check. Okay. Bolded for emphasis and consistency. Okay. So that got bolded. Okay. So the lead has priority in making the scene sway check. So if you're the lead of the scene, you should set yourself up to make it, or at least to make a check. I don't know if you'll make it or not, but you should. If he or she declines or is unable to make one due to the constraints of the narrative, or if the lead already has sway, the other players may mutually agree on another player to attempt the check. However, the scene moderator should only attempt a sway check if no other character is able to, because the scene moderator has moved off of the stage. If you succeeded a sway skill check, your character gains sway among the cultists. The character who previously had sway loses it. If you fail, you must introduce a headache into the game. Okay, you say, okay, add the cross-reference here, but then again, the headache is going to be actually the next scene.
Yeah, so you can add it, but it's the next page. So
see next section.
Perfect.
So headaches. Headaches. A headache represents a fresh challenge, setback, or hurdle that adds complexity to the story either for individual characters or the entire group of cultists. Players have the freedom to introduce complications into the game whenever they choose, but are obligated to do so when a check fails. The specifics of the headache is left to the discretion of the player who failed the check, but they may seek suggestions from other players if desired. The range of potential headaches is bound only by the player's creativity, though it's generally advisable for the headaches to start small and escalate in significance as the game unfolds. For ideas on potential headaches, players can refer to the headaches table located at the end of the book. So we do give you some suggestions there. And I thought that was important because I didn't want to leave that open-ended. Hey, make up a headache. That's one of those okay, so we do have a table that you can roll on and get ideas from.
Yeah, and I think that's very key too, to give people the like, what does a headache look like? Okay, now I can go and be creative and make my
own. Let's see. PH says you could also have a glossary at the end if people don't get something, they just go there. In a more complex RPG, I definitely want one. Maybe make bold all words that are in the glossary. I don't know if it's even necessary. I don't know if it'd be necessary in this game because the rules aren't that long. But I think a glossary that defines terms is a good idea and something larger. Okay, an aside. Now, this is a very thematic part of a mockumentary. How do we bring mockumentary RPG to the table? And this is something that Craig Campbell led the way with low stakes. So asides. An aside is a moment where your character addresses an imaginary audience, providing additional insight into the ongoing narrative. Asides are intended to inject unpredictability into the story, challenging players to adapt. During any scene involving their character, players have the option to interrupt the action and transition to an aside. There are 3 types of asides. 1, uncover a hidden truth. 2, hint at future events. Or 3, tease or jest at another character's expense. Players should incorporate revealed truths and foreshadowed events into the narrative. This allows the player making an aside to take a bit of control over the narrative. If the aside results in adversity for your character, describe their failure or suffering and possibly new complications to deal with as a result. Your character gains 2 points of courage. So this is also a way that you can get courage if you need it. You go to an aside, and your aside can be one of these things: uncover hidden truth, hint at future events, or tease or jest. And if you make yourself the focus of that, then you get 2 courage points. If the aside adversely affects another character, introduce an applicable headache into the scene. The character making the aside gains 1 courage point. Once the aside concludes, resume the ongoing scene and continue gameplay. Each player may enact only one of each type of aside per game. Check off the aside type on your character sheet and proceed with your revelation. In games with numerous players or with shorter story durations, all players may not be able to enact all three of their asides before the game ends. This is okay. Added this to prevent this section from sounding too FOMO-y. Okay, so this is okay. I like it. And then we get to concluding the story. As the game progresses, there will come a point where the storyline seems near its resolution, signaling the game's impending conclusion. When the moment arrives, the player. Say it, James.
Say again.
I thought you were. I thought you were starting to say something. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I apologize.
As the game progresses, there will come a point where the storyline seems near its resolution, signaling the game's impending conclusion. When this moment arrives, the player possessing sway may choose to initiate the conclusion of the story. They declare this to the other players. However, before the scene concludes, other players have the opportunity to attempt to gain sway in a dramatic narrative act involving one of their sway skills. The group should agree on which player should make this last-ditch attempt. The challenger must make a sway skill check and is free to spend courage points if any are available. This adds dice to the roll as normal. However, the player being challenged may also expend courage to reduce the number of dice being rolled at a rate of 1 per point spent. The challenger's dice cannot be reduced below 1. The story will move to
this. Well, I'm
okay.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I have this vision of a game playing out where, like, when the character with sway declares that they're going to conclude the story, and then everyone goes, okay, well, I'm going to make an aside. And then the next player, well, I'm going to make an aside. And everyone like pulls all their courage resources together to see if they can like cut this player off. I think that like a mad dash to the end sounds very, very fun within the context of the setting. That's all. Silly comment.
No, I like that. But there isn't a way to transfer courage points.
No, but it would be a situation where like you kind of want to, I don't know, maybe like whoever you're going to have take sway, and that would probably be a part of the conversation, right? It would be like, well, how many asides do you have? Well, I have 3 asides, so I can blow them all. Or no, you can't, because you can only do it once per scene, right?
Yeah, okay, wait. I was about to wonder, like, can you blow them all right here?
During any scene involving their character, 3 options to interrupt. It doesn't say that it limits you to 1 aside per scene.
Now, I kind of think that it should.
Well, if it does, then that will definitely make the sway, that last-ditch attempt at the end more dramatic, because you're not going to be able to just kind of prolong things with asides. But also, that could be a very fun kind of circumstance.
Let me go over. That is a great point, because I guess I didn't think of somebody burning all of them in one scene. But it's not written down. Let's look up what Craig said, if he actually mentioned something in this about this. In low stakes, I'm bringing it up. Okay. Page 9. Does he limit that? Okay, he says a confessional is what he calls them, is a scene where your character breaks the fourth wall and speaks to an imagined audience about what is going on in the main story. You've seen scenes like this in The Office, Modern Family, and What We Do in the Shadows. Alternatively, a confession. Oh, I'm sorry?
I said it's the same picture, like from The Office.
Right. It is. Alternatively, a confessional might be presented as an inner monologue or soliloquy to no one. During a confessional, your character reveals something previously unknown, foreshadows something, or pokes fun at a character. That character can be themselves. At any point during a scene your character is in, you can interrupt the scene and cut to a confessional scene for your character. Mark one of the 3 confession types on your character playbook and make your confession. Okay, this is where it's about if it's hindering yourself, 2, somebody else, that's 1. Once the confession is played out, go back to the scene at hand and continue. You can only play out each type of confessional once. You can only play out each type of confessional once during a single game of low stakes. And it's possible not to play out all three. So that's not brought up. What is the commentary? What do the people in the comments think? Let us know. Everybody watching, let us know in the comments. On the other hand, we don't want this to be something like, I got to save this to the end of the game.
Right, right.
Like, oh my God, I got to have all three of these at the end of the game.
No, but see, there's definitely a measure of strategic maneuvering here, because you do mention in the concluding the story or reaching a conclusion, whatever the section's called, that
that's next.
That the character with sway can conclude the story if it is a natural stopping point in the story, right? So you don't really ever know when the story is going to end or when the game is going to end, and so I think that will provide a mitigating effect. Like, you don't want to just sit on all of your asides until you think you're getting close to the end, because as far as you know, the very next scene is going to be the end, and they don't have or you don't have sway. So it might be beneficial to blow an aside in that scene to make sure you have the courage points. Additionally, you don't have to spend courage points. Like, they don't go away for the whole game, right?
Right.
So I think there's enough there to prevent a situation like that from happening. But we will know for sure in a playtest.
I guess we will know for sure when we play it. I'm going to be looking out for that. So we'll keep it as it is right now, because you have to nominate one character. So it's not like everybody's going to be doing this, because that would be too much.
It's got to be a guy or
that
gal.
would be too much.
Yeah,
it would have to be one person, and it has to be a dramatic narrative act involving one of their sway skills. Okay, yeah, we'll leave it. We'll leave it as it is. But I'll be paying close attention to that. PH says, is there a compilation of all the ways you can gain courage at the courage explanation section? Let's check on that. So courage. Characters start the game with one courage point and can earn more as the game progresses by being the scene moderator and passing trouble checks. So that does not say that they can get them by their confessionals, and it probably should.
Yeah, I like that, saying that, players can earn courage points in a variety of ways. Here are all the ways that you can earn courage points in a game. And then just bullet point it with maybe page numbers for the
I think that's exactly what should happen. And can earn more as the game progresses by being the scene moderator, passing trouble checks, or enacting asides. So I don't want to explain them all here, but you don't.
Yeah, you don't want to, because it's explained elsewhere. You want to be efficient with your verbiage, so you can just refer them to the other.
Yeah,
places.
I don't want to replicate. That's what I was trying to do with all of the references anyway, because I don't want to have the same rule written twice. So that is the three ways, though, by being the scene moderator. That's excellent for thinking of that.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Here we go. Okay, or enacting asides. Those are the three ways that you can get them. Now here I got they. I'm in a different paragraph right here, so I'm going to say courage points. Can improve the chance. There we go. Excellent. Good catch. Good catch. Can all the players call asides on the same scene? I think yes. I mean,
yeah, there was
right now.
Yes.
So there could be a lot of them. When I think about I'm going to pay close attention to that, because but definitely different players can all decide. Hey, wait a minute, I got something to throw in here. Okay, so they declare this to the other players. However, before the scene concludes, other players have the opportunity to attempt to gain sway in a dramatic narrative act involving one of their sway skills. So it has to also fit with the sway skills of the. So if you save all of yours up and then you're in a situation that I can't make any of my sway skills fit, then okay, well, too bad. You're not going to get to use them. The group should agree on which player should make this last-ditch attempt. The challenger must make a sway skill check and is free to spend courage points. I think we said this before. The challenger's dice cannot be reduced below 1. The story will move to its conclusion regardless of the outcome of the final check, but the way it concludes will change. Players should craft a finale where things ultimately work out well for the character holding sway, and those who successfully pass checks involving one of their troubles at any time during the game. The other characters face a less favorable conclusion marked by embarrassment, failure, or some other adverse outcome. Favorable outcome or not, all players should have agency in determining the final outcome for their own characters. Hey, Brett, good to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. I mean, I like that. So there we go. So that actually concludes the rules. I mean, there's more here but I mean, as far as how actually to play.
Yeah.
In its basic sense, that is it. 5,457 words, which is not a long rule book for RPGs.
No, it's not. Coming in under 6 is great.
Yeah, it's longer than what it's based on, low stakes, but it's still not that much. So then we do have PH just says one thing.
I mean, it's longer than low stakes, but you customize quite a bit. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
We customize quite a bit, right? Yeah. PH says one thing I don't get yet is that only one person has sway at a time. And if you do what the sway holder determines, you take his sway, right? What if more than one person is eligible?
What do you mean? What if more than one person is eligible?
Okay. So sway, the main way you get sway. Characters gain sway when they succeed on a sway check. Maybe we should say that. The main way characters gain sway is when they succeed on a sway check. So, and you've got priority, and the leader has priority on making a sway check for any particular scene. But then also, so that's it. So if you're the leader of a scene, you want to set up the scene so that you can at least attempt a sway check to succeed. But also there is this other thing that if the person who has sway can persuade a target, so there won't be more than one eligible target. So I think that is here. This is a second way you can gain sway. This is an alternate use. The player character with sway can persuade a target, so one target, to undertake an action that complies with his or her desires. So there won't be more than one. Okay, so one character wants the group to go through a dangerous route. If everybody goes, does everybody gain sway? No, because this use is specifically for a target. Do you think that works? So you go down the dangerous route.
Yeah, so it's not, you don't just gain sway for going along with what the person with sway tells you to do. You gain sway by making a check against one of your sway skills, which may or may not be relevant in the moment, right? So it only use it if it's relevant in the moment.
Yeah, and then this alternate use is the sway holder coming to you specifically as a character and saying, I want you to do this. And if you do, I'll give you this sway token.
Yeah, it's persuade a target.
So playing, should the target be character, actually? Would that make it more clear? But also a player character with sway can persuade a target character. No, it does say that. A target character. Okay. All right, so playing the game with a game master, an optional rule. So low stakes was originally written without a game master, but I wanted to be able to include one if you wanted one. So this was an important scene or section to say, or if you're trying to add one in, how would you do that? What if nobody wants to go? The character can't use sway to persuade all of them, then okay. Well, right. If they all turn it down, yeah. If somebody's like, okay, I don't, if you say, hey, Jim, I want you to go and I will give you sway. And he's like, no, we did allow for that because in rare instances, the player of the target character may not want to comply, often for narrative or role-playing reasons. In that case, describe how you avoid it. The sway holder is rebuffed but retains sway for later use. So he could go offer to another character. Yeah, that would be valid. That would be valid. Okay, so playing with a GM. Even though the Cultist RPG is designed to be played without a game master, some groups may be more comfortable with having a player adjudicate the game in the style of a more traditional role-playing game. The Cultist RPG can accommodate this play style. Instead of having the lead rotate into the role of the scene moderator, one person may adopt the role for the entire game. Rather than having a single cultist character, the scene moderator role plays. Is that supposed to be a hyphen there? Rather than having a single cultist character, I think that should be player character. The scene moderator role plays the extras and NPCs throughout all the scenes and takes on a greater role in adjudicating the success or failure of the player character's actions and what the result is. That should be, and what the results are in order to keep parallel, I believe. A scene moderator will also determine when making a check is necessary and will be the one who rolls for or chooses the next scene on the beat sheet. The lead player should still craft and, well, that shouldn't be. Let's just make that a new sentence instead of a parenthetical. The lead player should still craft important details present at the start of the scene so as to set them up for sway checks. Set themselves up for sway checks. Some may want to be permanent scene moderators because they have a vision for a story or situation to engage the players. That could be an excellent way to play. However, scene moderators shouldn't spend too long prepping for a game of the Cultist RPG. Games are intended to be focused on how characters respond to their initial ridiculous situation, with further scenes being highly driven by the actions their characters take in response. Resist the urge to railroad the players with a predetermined story arc. Let the game go where the hijinks takes it.
Yeah, this is very much, and maybe it would be worthwhile to include a note to the effect of that, like, this is very much an improv kind of game, and the idea of the beat sheet and the headaches and all that is essentially like going to the audience and saying, like, okay, I need 2 people, 2 places, and 2 things, and you get the audience answers, and then you just create a scene in the moment with the things the audience gave you. That's kind of like what this book is attempting to do with the beat sheets.
Yes.
And so, maybe making a note in here to that effect would be helpful.
This is an improv focused game. Resist the urge to railroad players the predetermined story arc. So now maybe here is where we say the consulting, the beat sheets, and other tables is a lot. What kind of show are those? It's not like consulting the audience.
It's just an improv show. It's Ask the Audience is essentially, well, I mean, it's, quote unquote, a game. It's like Ask the Audience at an improv show is what I would say.
Asking the audience in an improv show for some basic story elements or scene elements, basic elements of the scene.
Yeah. Yeah, basic elements for the scene is great.
Use them fast and loose.
Indeed.
And let this game go where the hijinks takes you.
Yeah. Cloning the best features in the video. It's not like asking the audience an improv show for some basic elements for the scene. Use them fast and loose in the game. Yep, perfect.
Now, this is something that we added that character change. This was definitely something that was added to the low stakes system that I'm rather proud of. I'm rather proud of this. So this says playing a campaign. The Cultist RPG is often played as a one-off or one-shot game with players coming together for a single session, selecting characters, and then playing out a standalone narrative arc. However, some groups may want to play the same characters over the course of several games. This will allow them to not only more deeply develop their characters, but also weave a longer story, much in the same way multiple episodes of a web series can form a longer arc. The Cultist RPG does not allow for standard character advancement. Or I don't always say does not include. Steph's saying we don't allow that. Does not include rules for standard character advancement. There are no character levels or skill proficiencies to speak of. It does I want to say it does, however, have a mechanism for character change.
I'm going to be a big old jerk here.
Yeah.
If you want to use the word "however," it should actually be semicolon, however, comma. So it should there are no character levels or skill proficiencies to speak of, semicolon, however, comma. It does have a mechanism, blah 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 blah.
Okay, no, that's great. However, it does. That right there?
Yep.
So then this would end the sentence.
Yeah, and then you can just start with the.
The same character could be played with. Just with. How about with different narrative roles? For instance, Rob plays multiple different narrative roles during the Cultist web series, including the Grump, the Critic, and the Fanatic. But typically, the focus of any given episode highlights only one of those at a time. Only one at a time. Likewise, Acantha is both the Metachronism and the Caretaker. Ben begins as the novitiate, but becomes a true believer. To remain true to this aspect of the web series, now I've noticed I'm saying web. How do you actually write the word web series?
I think web series is one word.
I think I typically write as one word. No, well, Wikipedia has it as two words, but not I got it hyphenated right there. Wikipedia's entry is two words. So, all right, let's go with that. To remain true to this aspect of the web series, players are free to keep the same character for a future session, but switch up which narrative role they play based on the changing situations in the story. They may retain their cult affiliation, unless that's changed too, but they should select new troubles and sway skills from the list of the new narrative role. Switching narrative roles will likely be driven by the events in a previous game session. A skeptical LARPer who experiences a family crisis that causes them to lean further into the cult could become a novitiate and then be tempted back to the mundane world, the conflicted, and finally have a personal religious experience that causes them to become a fanatic. This is not the same because I got becoming the conflicted. Why do I have that as a parenthetical in the middle of that? So a skeptical LARPer who experiences a family crisis that causes them to lean further into the cult could become a novitiate, then be tempted back to the mundane world, becoming the conflicted, and finally
having
that should be having for parallelism. Having a personal religious experience that causes them to become a fanatic. Humor is often a great way to explore serious topics. The Cultist web series involves themes of belonging, grieving loss, and personal growth. Players who wish to explore such topics may find that embracing character change across play sessions is an important tool. So those were like addendums to the rules. And then you get, you got a lot of notes here.
Oh, wow. What did I do here?
Oh, you got a lot of things to say right here. Okay.
It's like, okay, man, did Bacon even edit this? Yeah, I guess I did.
Maybe. So, yeah. So, I mean, this has been kind of my style that, like, when we were talking about reviewing a bunch of RPGs on the Heath Geekverse channel and so forth, that to me, creating character is not exactly playing the game. So leading off with how you actually play the game and not leading off with, all right, how do you play? Because we also have pre-generated characters here, which are a lot of fun. So character creation. Players are free to choose any of the pre-generated characters in the back of this book, which include many of the characters in the Cultist web series, but players can also create their own. Here's how. Select a narrative role. In the Cultist RPG, the most important thing about a character is the narrative role they play in the story. Generally, groups should only include one character for a particular narrative role. This gives each player a definable niche to fill in creating the story. Narrative role descriptions begin on page YYY. Hey, Keith. Good to see you.
Keith.
Okay. So we had narrative role list here. So you say, I removed the list of narrative roles for 2 reasons. This is a list of stages for character creation, and so don't need the detail. And 2, it makes using the book more complicated to have the list of narrative roles that players first encounter not include their description. It'll force readers to begin a flip back and forth for the description to the list stage. Referencing the starting page of the section is a better way to handle this because it maintains the integrity of the list. So that's what I did. Okay, so I had the list right here. Okay, narrative roles. What about narrative roles and their descriptions begin on page YYY?
Yep, perfect.
Oh my God, Keith says, I just finished an epic game of Monopoly. That's what the holidays are for, right?
Yeah. Epic games of Monopoly usually end with someone being exiled to some room or another, not able to talk to the family for a couple of days. At least in my house, that's how it went.
2. Okay, select 3 troubles. Each narrative role has a variety of possible troubles, which have 2 major functions of the game. They explicitly define when trouble checks must be made, and they indicate a default state of the character's life that makes things difficult for them. Trouble descriptions can be found within their associated narrative roles, beginning on page YYY. Players are also free to come up with their own troubles. So, okay, comment. So this is this. Okay, I reordered the list. Since the narrative roles, sway skills, and troubles are all located in the narrative roles section, I grouped them together at the top of the list, since choosing a narrative role is labeled as the most important. From there, I kept everything in the same order. Cult. Oh, yeah, because actually, I think I probably had cult next. I probably did have cult next. Yeah. I kept everything in the same order. Cults and special abilities were already appropriately ordered since they are both found in the cults section. Then courage points, name, and other details are independent of anything else, so they can stay as at the tail end. Okay, so yeah, so okay, so you, because troubles and sway skills are dependent upon your narrative role, you put them next.
Yeah.
Then cult. Okay, I got you. All right. Okay, so select 3 troubles. Okay. Select 3 sway skills. Select 3 sway skills. Sway skills are things a character is particularly good at, which may allow them to gain the upper hand over the other cultists. Like trouble. I probably had it that way because I was trying to think of what would you be thinking of about your character.
Are those all the same note? They look like they might all be the same note.
Well, I think you did put the same note.
I just made sure to highlight each section to say, hey, I reordered. Okay.
This has been reordered. Yeah, I think
it's
that is
standard notation, I guess. I just wanted to make sure that I called out everything that I touched.
So now we're going to 3. Select sway skills. Sway skills are things a character is particularly good at and which may allow them to gain the upper hand over the other cultists. Like troubles, sway skills are determined by the character's narrative role. Sway skill descriptions can be found within their associated narrative roles, beginning on page YYY. Again, as with troubles, players may create their own sway skill, but it should be broadly applicable to a variety of situations. Don't make it too specific. Select your cult. Perhaps the most interesting thing about playing the Cultist RPG is being a member of a cult that worships one of the many Lovecraftian gods. Players are free to combine their narrative roles with membership in whatever cult they choose. The group might all choose to be part of the same cult, or might choose to be from a variety of different cults, like in the Cultist web series. Cult descriptions begin on page YYY. Oh, there was no table flipping in
Well, that's
Monopoly
good.
game.
Yet, he says, so maybe it's merely a game on hold, or a game, you're taking a break, coming back to it.
All right, review your cult special abilities. Each cult has a variety of special abilities that allow some of their uniqueness to have a mechanical impact on the game. Players should review these abilities, but should not select one until the first opportunity to use one comes up in play. No need to choose in advance. Once chosen, that special power may not be changed for the remainder of the game, but it may be used in multiple scenes. If players are playing the same characters across a campaign, clear the character special ability selection at the start of each game session. Special abilities can be found with their associated cult descriptions beginning on page YYY. Indicate the character has 1 courage point. This can be done by taking a courage token if the players are using them, or by marking it on the character sheet. Name your character and then define any other relevant details. The player may define anything else they feel is important about their character, including their appearance, clothing, speech patterns, and quirks. Okay, so we had a reordering here, but I think that makes sense. Those are these two are dependent upon narrative roles, so they come next. Oh, 3rd game in 2 days. Whoa, this is a lot of playing.
Wow.
Okay, so then here are the narrative roles, which were customized for this game, and which was so much fun. This, and then applying them, the cults, and then applying those to develop the characters were a lot of fun. So, the caretaker. You frequently take charge of critical tasks and see to the well-being of your fellow cultists. However, your dedication to supporting others leads you to overlook your own aspirations and desires, often resulting in personal setbacks. So I'm intending for this to be formatted like it's a character sheet. That's why the character name here, like this is what you would take. Cult and power. Choose one cult. Choose one of its powers during gameplay. So we got the different cults here: Azathoth, Cthulhu, Dagon, and Nyarlathotep. Oh, and Shub and Yog-Sothoth. So there are 6 different cults, and then you get to choose Azathoth. We won't look at all of these because it's going to be the same, because Azathoth is sudden appearance, craft magical item, hex, and curses. Cthulhu is prophetic dreams, mad visions, and unshakable fanaticism. Dagon is fortune of fishes, second oath, and mesmeric presence. Nyarlathotep is master of disguise, propagandist of the elder gods, and historical knowledge. Shub is subjection and charm, dominion, and nature's wrath. Yog-Sothoth is necromantic insight, sacrifice of dedication, and officiant of the cult. You choose 3 troubles. Roll a trouble check to prioritize self-care. So these are things you're not good at. You don't prioritize self-care. You are not good at addressing a personal challenge, or asserting yourself in a interpersonal conflict, or confronting or disciplining someone. And there will be a place for you to write it in if you would like to come up with a different trouble check. Sway skills, DC 5, choose 3. Attempt to gain sway by assisting someone by resolving their dilemma, demonstrating your worth to another, complimenting someone with specificity, or mentoring someone in a new skill, or choose your own. And then you've got here uncover hidden truth, hint at a future event, tease or jest. Under the asides, that's what you're going to be checking. This is not formatted, but that's what will be on it. And then how many courage, and if you have sway, although hopefully you're doing that by a token instead of trying to mark it down.
Especially a rubber fish.
Especially a rubber fish. That would be best. So the conflicted. You love the cult life. You really do. But there are things you love as well. But there are other things you love as well. Your band, gals, guys, drugs, beer, the bowling league, or some other mundane interest that draws your attention away from the worship of the elder gods. Other cultists will most certainly disapprove. Name, cult, choose that. But in this case, your troubles are choose 3. Roll a trouble check to maintain cult secrets from non-cult friends and family. Place the cult above your own needs. prioritize the cult over your mundane interests or interests or friends, effectively communicate with cultists who do not share your mundane interests. However, you can gain sway by handling a mundane situation more dedicated cultists don't understand, drawing upon your network of contacts in the mundane world, employing your mundane skill to impress others, shocking your fellow cultists by being competent in the mundane world. Are those two similar?
No, one is the skills that you've acquired, and the other is competent in sort of the goings on of or your understanding. So one feels like it's something that you can do based on skills you've acquired, and the other one is things you know based on, not being a weirdo.
And yeah, and actually, come to think, this one also is employing your mundane skill to impress others. So this could be other NPCs. Like you could use it to impress NPCs to do something in the scene.
Oh, yes, for sure.
Whereas this one is specifically shocking the cultists because you are competent at something in the mundane world. The critic says you are extremely dedicated to your cult and God. Others often don't live up to your high standards, and you don't mind calling them out for it. However, your constant scrutiny of others blinds you to your own imperfections. Troubles, roll a trouble check to rectify an issue of your making. Display compassion and support. Accept criticism gracefully.
As you go.
Go ahead, Bacon.
I was just going to say, I'm just chuckling as you go. They're very funny.
Yeah, this one is a
rectify.
good one.
Like you have trouble rectifying an issue that you've made. Like that's
you've made.
Very funny.
Accept criticism gracefully. Acknowledge vulnerability. Blank. Sway skills. Choose 3. Attempt to gain sway by persuading someone through harsh criticism. I like that one too. Highlighting someone's imperfections with precision. Deceiving someone into achieving your goals, or arguing with someone to concede their position. That'd be a fun character to play. That would be a fun character to play.
Yeah, you can't summon Cthulhu with sour cream and onion. As a skill.
Yes. The dandy. You're the ultimate showstopper, confident that everyone recognizes your charm and charisma. Your impeccable style, flair, and captivating gaze leaves others in awe. There's no room for improvement in your flawless self, at least according to you. And so, troubles. Roll a trouble check to show humility. Empathize with others. Do anything low key. That's going to be fun to role play too.
Yeah.
Be helpful without reward. Attempt to gain sway by impressing others with your style and panache, wooing someone, improving someone by being their wingman, thin man, or style coach. That will also be fun. Yeah. Control the room non-verbally. Now, the Elder Goth, this was your addition, your name here, James.
Yes. and it comes from, and I think I probably explained it on the live stream as well, but it comes from a term of endearment that we all used to use because in my youth I used to go clubbing. This is back when I lived in Philadelphia, and there were some older members of the club scene that we referred to as Elder Goths because they were just older but also goth. And they were typically the ones that, had to leave the club early because they had jobs in the morning, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we eventually all grew up into them anyway, right? And it was a term of endearment, but we workshopped it a bit for the game so that it would fit a little bit better as a profile. And I love how it turned out. I think it's fantastic.
I do too. It's a great one. The Elder Goth. Oh, hey, Daniel. Bacon the Clubber. Making everything really is better with bacon. Oh,
yes, there's much that people do not know about me. Only now am I an old man with a gray beard. I used to be young.
You have successfully detached yourself from the modern world and fully embraced the cult life. So this would also be fun to play. So you are what every neophyte cultist wants to be. You've converted your home into a lair, or at least have a hangout with the other cultists think is really hardcore. Somehow, some way, you managed to live a life that's mostly detached from the concerns of the mundane world. Oh, that is kind of counter to the fact that you said they had to go to work.
Yeah, it's opposite. So instead of growing up and leaving, they kind of grew up and leaned in. So I think it works better here.
Yeah, completely leaned in. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Made it work. So Roll a trouble check to effectively use technology, blend into the background, appear non-threatening to people in the mundane world, or acknowledge your weakness or vulnerability. Attempt to gain sway by overawing a cultist with your knowledge of the occult or cool gear, using your lair or hangout to cover for cultists in need, cheering someone up by telling them how hardcore they are, inspiring another cultist with your hardcore ethos. I mean, a lot of these are fun. I mean, they're all fun. Like,
Yeah, they're all really fun.
The fanatic. You're a true believer, completely dedicated to the elder gods and obsessed with bringing them back to earth. Your true calling is to be their prophet and herald their coming. You probably also have a special role to play in facilitating their return, up to including self-sacrifice. No task or quest is too great when undertaken in service of the elder gods. So trouble check to focus on a mundane task, resist going on an occult quest, having a serious non-occult conversation. That one's fun. Doubt your abilities or your beliefs. This is the trouble. So you have trouble doubting your abilities, your beliefs. Sway skills. Inspire other cultists with the dramatic speech of the elder gods. Come through at the right moment for the cultists. Effortlessly leading ritual actions. Using elder god apologetics, which is fun. To explain something that might otherwise cause doubt in your faith. That was the one I'd want to use most. The grouch. You're always in a grumpy mood and find little joy in life. Nothing is ever quite to your liking. Despite this attitude, you do possess a handful of redeeming traits that prevent the other cultists from making you the next sacrifice to the great old ones. However, you only deploy these qualities to manipulate others, which is also fun because Rob is also playing the grouch sometimes. Roll a trouble check to give in on something, be friendly and inviting, apologize and mean it, show genuine affection to another. Attempt to gain sway by staring silently to win. Complaining until you get your way, finally showing your good side to manipulate others, or getting someone else angry and bonding with them over it. The lackey, eager to please and desperate for approval. Wait. That's on the Maverick. Okay, so I was like, oh wait, we got some. Okay, the lackey, eager to please and desperate for approval, you are the quintessential follower and laborer within the cult. You willingly carry out orders and thankless tasks without question, craving validation from your fellow cultists. Despite your loyalty, you tend to be taken advantage of and are often overlooked or undervalued. Roll a trouble check to go against the group or say no. Stand up for yourself. Choose sides in a conflict or be confrontational. Climb the social hierarchy of the cult. And it's very difficult to do, but that's success when you do it. And then you get a good outcome from the story. Seeing a menial and or monotonous task through, gain sway by seeing a menial or monotonous task through to completion. Going unnoticed because others see you as inconsequential. Impressing someone with your attention to detail and focus. Being prepared so as to meet the needs of others. That was, hey, sir, I've got your favorite snack, right? So PH says, I'm not sure if this is relevant, but what if instead of using guys, gals, you went with something more neutral like significant other, crush, partner, love, interest, or lovers? That was under the conflicted. Oh, that's going to go up here.
Was that? Oh, yeah, it is. Okay.
There are other things you love as well. Your band. If it were just guys, I would say girls.
You can say, you can just really go general and say relationships.
Yeah, because, you might not, the words here are thinking, because you might not actually have a significant other. No, crush might work there, because that doesn't necessarily mean that's reciprocated.
Yeah, crush might work. Also, you can use generality to avoid the entire gender thing. You can say chasing tail. That's perfectly neutral.
that might be good. Fun.
You can do. There are phrases that you can use that would be less gendered, which I think is the point that our PH is
I
making.
kind of like that one because that's
Yeah,
actually
sure,
something
leave it.
that's not just saying, oh, it's your band, Chasing Tail. Now, actually, this is Chasing Tail, drugs, beer, the bowling league, or some other money. I like that.
Go for it.
Oh, and PH is laughing. So,
PH
all right,
likes it
so there
too.
we go. Yeah, and PH is saying, I'm thinking about a significant portion of the audience that enjoys this types of improvisational role play. And we've got to get people together to play it here live on the
Yeah.
well, live on the live would be great to do it on the channel. Could be recorded too, but okay, the LARPer. You aren't totally convinced by this worshiping the elder god thing, but hanging out with cultists is really cool and you seriously dig their aesthetic. And hey, they accept you, so why not? On the other hand, they may just be keeping you around for the next sacrifice. Or what to be the next sacrifice? Keeping you around to be the next sacrifice.
Oh, yeah.
Roll a trouble check to demonstrate true occult knowledge, break character even when necessary, recognize the true opinions of others or actual danger, operate independently or act decisively when alone.
I love that recognize when other people, the true opinions of others in actual danger, because like you are perpetually LARPing. So the idea, like the headspace you're in is that, well, so is everyone else. These aren't real opinions. This is just everyone role play. I love that. I love
so
that.
You have trouble taking anything seriously.
Yeah. It's absolutely fantastic.
Resolving a conflict with rock, paper, scissors is one of your sway skills.
That's so good. It's
I
so
forgot
good.
about that. Accomplishing a task heavily dependent on luck, fast talking the uninitiated into doing what you want, or undertake a task other cultists think is difficult or dangerous. That's because you just don't understand. I think that's
you're totally oblivious. You're like, oh yeah, it's just role playing. Let's go.
Okay, the Maverick. You're a wild spirit who scoffs at the very notion of rules. For you, conformity is a foreign concept, and you relish forging your own path regardless of societal norms or expectations. Whether it's a rebellious streak or a deep-seated aversion to authority, you thrive on independence and autonomy. You do things your way. Troubles are to cooperate with someone, see the error of your ways, get someone to trust you, or to show humility. Showing your way to be the best way. Okay, so you said surprising everyone. Consider a couple more words here to better explain what you mean. So what do we mean here? Surprising everyone by being useful or helping them.
Yeah, I think that's much better.
Surprising your fellow cultists, I think, is what we should be doing. So, because that distinguishes them from the NPCs, because some of these are NPC focuses. Surprising your fellow cultists by being actually useful or giving them aid. Yeah, that's what we're talking about here. Yeah, surprising someone was too generic. That was too generic. Making someone else feel cool or showing off big time.
Big time. I love that. Not just showing off,
big time.
Love it.
The metachronism. You're better suited to living in another time and so are out of place in the modern world. You cling to familiar ancient routines and struggle to keep up with the fast-paced and intricate nature of modern living. Are you actually from a different time or are you just delusional? Who can say? So choose 3. Effectively use modern tech or conveniences, conform to social norms, relate to people through pop culture, or hold down a job, or all your troubles. This is like a cantha, you know.
And holding down a job can be as broad as like, you know, all the rest of the cultists are leaving HQ for some reason. They say, okay, now hold down the fort while we're away, and you just can't.
And you just can't. Yeah, it could be.
You get distracted, you leave, or like you can, especially if you're like, I think if you're an Azathoth cultist, you can just appear out of thin air. So that would be great if in the next scene you just like, they told you to hang back and watch HQ and you just appear out of thin air in the middle of the scene and they're like, what's going on? I love this particular character.
Attempt to gain sway by demonstrating knowledge of forbidden eldritch secrets, pointing out your past successes to others, pretending to be more important than you are, or impressing someone using antiquated skills or language. Yep, I like that.
Yeah.
The novitiate. You're the new guy. Enthusiastic and eager.
Should we change gal or guy here too? You could say FNG, right? Or maybe
What is
not.
FNG?
FN new guy or gal. I mean, it's the same thing. It's just it's an acronym that shrinks it down.
Gotcha.
You're the new kid on the block.
I like that. It's better than the slash.
Yeah, I agree. Could be new fish. Right? You're the how would we say that?
Because
that's actually a Candace suggestion. She's listening in, and that's very funny.
You're the new kid or fish on the block.
Yeah. Love it.
Enthusiastic, eager to please. Oh, we do. That follows up because we got Finn down here. Enthusiastic. I like it. So
that's really good.
It is. That's really good. So enthusiastic, eager to please, and more than a little desperate to fit in. Unlike the lackey, you at least have another cultist willing to take you under their wing, Finn, for eventual full initiation into the cult. You make a lot of mistakes, but sometimes your inexperience gives you insight into situations that others simply cannot have. I like the contrast with the lackey. So, trouble check to understand underlying group dynamics, stand up for yourself or resist exploitation, see character flaws in more advanced cultists, or resist being overawed or easily impressed. Those are your troubles. And I think those are great.
Those are absolutely great. PH just actually recommended new fish in the aquarium instead of new kid on the block. That might be it, but I don't want to.
You're the new fish in the aquarium.
Yeah, you're the new fish in the aquarium.
I do like
that's
that.
pretty great.
I do. That is really good. You fish in the aquarium. You're the new fish in the aquarium.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Enthusiastic and eager to please and a little more desperate to fit in. I like that. That's great, PH. And then you can gain sway by learning new rituals or tasks or uncovering new information, comforting a distressed cultist by telling them how amazing they are, solving a problem or completing a task another cultist has already failed through your fresh perspective or because of. That's probably more direct, of your fresh perspective. And then finally, the provocateur. Your satisfaction comes from teasing others and manipulating them to do your bidding. Your behavior can be mildly unsettling or greatly settling or greatly disruptive, and forming close relationships is often challenging for you. So roll a trouble check to be honest with someone. Resist manipulating someone who would be easy to manipulate. Hand over your power or just let it go.
I love this. It's so what a jerk. It's an absolute jerk. You lie to everyone, you manipulate everyone, you are not going to let anyone have your power, and you can't let anything go. I love this character.
And it's also great. Remember, if you overcome if you successfully make a trouble check during the game, then it will end well for you. And then you end up with a good ending. And this is funny because it is like the one would be the most easiest to do. Like all you have to do is let something go, and you can't.
Oh, that's so good. Can't let it go. Can't do it.
Cannot let it go.
And you know what's funny is that I experience shades of this particular cultist in my real life.
But you can gain sway by boring someone into doing something, inciting negative emotions in someone, controlling the room by constantly talking and ignoring someone to force your point. So there we go. So that's it. So That's how many do we end up with? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11,
13?
12, 13. So
Yeah,
that's
13.
that 13. Very appropriate.
Yeah, I think we actually landed on 13 because of its appropriateness during the live streams, if I recall correctly. I say
I
we,
think we
I mean
did.
you.
So that the caretaker, the conflicted, the critic, the dandy, the elder goth, the fanatic, the grouch, the lackey, the larper, the maverick, the metaphysism, the novitiate, and the provocateur. That's a great
These are
selection.
great.
I mean,
Yeah, it
that's
is a really good selection. And the names are all evocative. It's really great.
and you get to, and then you combine that with your cult. So how many actual combinations, or is that a permutation? How many combinations is this? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 6 cults, and we have 13 narrative roles. So that's 78 possible combinations.
Wow.
So that's plenty. That's plenty to
That's
play with.
absolutely plenty.
Yeah, that's absolutely plenty. Plenty of replayability there, plus especially with the beat sheets that have all the roles and stuff. Plenty of replayability. The cults. Okay, so a major part of the fun of the Cultist RPG is undoubtedly stepping into the role of a zany worshiper of a Lovecraftian god, especially because of the power that comes with it. That's kind of tongue in cheek too.
Yeah.
Each of the cults have 3 special abilities that a member of the cult can wield. Remember, it's best if players do not select which of the powers they'll take at the start of the game, but choose their power based on narrative opportunity. Once chosen, it cannot be changed for the remainder of the game session. Although, we should probably say although once chosen, it cannot be changed for the remainder of the game session. The following special abilities are written so that it can be interpreted supernaturally or as merely coincidence in accordance with the philosophy on magic outlined earlier in the book. In that case, we are going back to something, but that's probably okay.
Yeah, I think it's generally good to cross-reference as much as possible.
Okay, so the cult of Azathoth. Known as the blind idiot god, he wallows in the primal slime at the center of creation as the music of ethereal flutes fill the air. His mindless and chaotic nature means he is oblivious even to the existence of the universe which he created. He is served by a retinue of lesser cosmic beings that dance with him for all eternity. His cult is made up of witches and warlocks who sign their name in his black book. And your potential powers are sudden appearance, enter or exit a scene at will at a location of your choice, craft a magic item, brew a potion, or craft a magical charm that appears to have supernatural effects, hexes and curses, cast hexes or curses that cause minor inconveniences, bad luck, or other effects. The Cult of Cthulhu. Cthulhu is a dreadful god being who fought a major war with the Elder Things on Earth about 350 million years ago. Today, he's trapped in a deathless sleep at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean. When the stars are right, he will reawaken, break free of the temple that imprisons him, and dominate the world. His cultists are known for their fanaticism and their uncivilized, crazed nature, which includes tattooing, scarification, and branding. Cthulhu's cult is very decentralized and uses an oral tradition to pass down ritual knowledge. Finglui, Mgwalnath, Cthulhu, Rillier, Woggle, Nagel, Fatagan. You get prophetic dreams. You receive dreams that seem to provide guidance or warning. Mad visions. Oh, hey, we got Jason here. Hey, good evening, Jason.
Hey, Jason.
Good to see you. Mad visions. You invoke temporary madness or intense emotions in yourself or others. Unshakable fanaticisms inspire fanaticism in a group of people, causing mob mentality and their fervent, if misguided, loyalty. That would be fun to do to a bunch of NPCs.
It would be, but also I'm like pairing these powers up with the different types of cultists, and it's like mad visions. You invoke temporary madness or intense emotions in yourself or others, and it's like, well, if you're the I forget what he was called, the jerk one that lies to everyone and tries to manipulate everyone. Yeah, the provocateur. It's like, well, that should be easy, right? And even then, it's like it sort of maintains the idea of, is it really a mystical power? Is it just coincidence? Who knows? This is such a really fun idea, and I really can't wait to get to seeing.
I think we've done a good job with this. I mean,
I think you really have, Heath. I think you've really nailed it.
it took a while, but and it was good that we kind of put it down, I think, and now come back to it and gone through it in these last couple of times in order before we go forward with it again. But doing anything is a big deal. like
Yeah,
picking up any project. The Cultists in general was a big thing to do. But this seems like it's come out really well. So I think, yeah, this could be some fun. The Esoteric Order of Dagon. The Father Dagon is a powerful sea creature revered as a god by the Deep Ones, over whom he and his consort, Mother Hydra, hold dominion. While serving Cthulhu as his chief celebrant under the sea, Dagon maintains an elaborate social structure among the Deep Ones. Legends suggest his palace lies within the Mariana Trench, which would explain the prevalence of his cult among many Pacific Islanders. Although often depicted as a bestial merman, Dagon's true appearance is uncertain. Rituals involving sea, water, and blood have been used to commune with him, granting believers mystic powers. His cults have a long tradition, tracing their lineage all the way back to the biblical Philistines. Right, Jay, you did. Yes, exactly. You came in at the cult time. It's a cult time. It's the right time. I'll let you know that one thing I was working on the other day, this was like 2 mornings ago, and because I was thinking about this while I was at the winery the other day, I was like, there needs to be a spoof song, because we did the "You Can't Summon Cthulhu with Sour Cream and Onion," but I had the phrase "Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell, Cthulhu" come into my head, and I was like, wait a minute, could you do a spoof of Jingle Bell Rock that is Jingle Bell Cthulhu? And yes, you can.
Is this where All I Want for Christmas is Doom came from?
No, that's another one, because I had 2 of them. Then I was like, so no, you could spoof Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas. And because I was thinking All I Want for Christmas is You, All I Want for Christmas is Cthulhu. That kind of fits. But if you do Jingle Bell, Jingle Bell, Jingle Bell, Cthulhu, as ridiculous as that.
Yeah, it is ridiculous, which is why it works.
It sounds like something that Rob would do, because I can see Rob saying, they're like, okay, Rob, you have to sing a Christmas song with us here at Christmas. So he sings Jingle Bell Cthulhu, like throwing in Cthulhu. But I think that actually Mariah Carey's song works better if it's All I Want for Christmas is Doom. You're right. That works best.
I agree. And that sounds like a Christmas one shot, right? Just a couple pages of a PDF that you just make for free at a Christmas time or something. All I Want for Christmas is Doom. And then like maybe Mariah Carey can be some sort of high priestess of one of these gods that tries to mind control everyone with her Christmas song. I think that could be pretty funny.
I was trying to figure out how I could actually get that sung and get that up on the channel. That's one thing. It's even with the tech we got now, it's not something you can just do. But I'm working on it. I've got a project of the well, both of them. Because I extracted. I found a download of Mariah Carey's "All I Want for Christmas," and then I used an AI extraction to extract the lyrics from the music, so I've got just the music that the lyrics
that's great.
Sung over.
That's good. You're on your way. Now I have a question. So for You Can't Summon Cthulhu with Sour Cream and Onion, is that you wrote the lyrics for that, right?
I wrote the lyrics for that. Yeah.
Now I noticed that throughout the song, Cthulhu, I think, is never pronounced the same way more than once. You have like various different pronunciations. How did you get the AI to do that? Did you just spell it different
just
ways?
did that. It just did that, because I always
automatically did that.
Written. Yeah. Now because sometimes an AI will pronounce Cthulhu just completely wrong, but sometimes it will say Tulu, which is okay.
Yeah.
And so I just went through and I just used apostrophe TULU and just made it Tulu, because that was the version of the song that I liked the best. And so I was like, just keep it Tulu. Let's go.
That's awesome. Well, it works really well, because it says Cthulhu, it says Cthulhu, it says Tulu. Like it says a whole bunch of. There's a whole bunch of different variations. It's really great.
I don't know that.
Oh, I love Thunderstruck. It's my favorite.
I'm gonna look that up.
Song. It is my favorite AC/DC song. It's so good.
Okay, I'm making note of that. Now, actually, there's another one that came to me. See, a reason that I've got to figure out a way to. It took me about a month to do. You can't summon Cthulhu with sour cream and onion. That was a lot of work to do. I mean, that was a
Yeah, it
month
sounds like
worth
a
of
lot of
work
work.
to get
Great
that
success, though. I mean,
video done.
I told you the other day, I was walking around the house singing it because I couldn't get it out of my head. So
Yeah.
it's a banger.
Great success. Yes, absolutely a great success. But I need to be able to do it. I need to be able to do it in a week instead of a month, like an entire month worth. So I'm working on streamlining my process because there are several others. I'll hold them at the moment, but there are several others that could be done. But because I also feel like, man, I need to release some Christmas stuff. So Jingle Bell Cthulhu, because I was starting generating some imagery, and it's all 1950s imagery. Jingle Bell Rock is in the 1950s, you know.
Yeah.
So I was like, I started to put the style of that music video as 1950s Panavision, or was it, the color Panavision, which is very popular. Panavision, yeah. That's the type of camera and lenses, things that like you know, all your a lot of classic 1950s look, you know, in a movie like Jason the Argonauts. Is that 1950s or whatever? The kind of thing it reminds me of.
I think so. Jason Argonauts is that's 60s. It's 63.
That's 60s. Well, I mean, probably closer.
Early enough in the 60s, the Panavision was still probably being used.
Probably so.
Yeah. Let me see. When was Technicolor invented?
Oh yeah.
Technicolor was. Let's see here.
Oh, early.
Technicolor was 1930s. Yeah, I guess it really just depends on when they switched over, right? And this looks like it's Technicolor in print. Maybe it's different.
Oh yeah. Technicolor in print too, because I was like, this said something about 1916.
Oh wow, yeah. The first version, Process 1, was introduced in 1916. Well, then they must have switched over during a subsequent process. This is like really early. I'm not even closing this tab. I'm going to want to read this because we still use Technicolor today.
Okay, well let's finish this up right here. Let's finish up the cultists here. So so we were on the cult of Dagon. Fortune of fishes. Your power could be fortune of fishes. Your rubber fish familiar speaks to you, giving you cryptic knowledge of future events or hidden secrets. Yes, could be real, could be delusional.
Yes. This is the big mouth Billy Bass.
Big mouth Billy Bass. Second oath. You have the knowledge necessary to lead your cultist in long forbidden rituals that might solve their current problem. Mesmeric, probably not, but it might. Mesmeric presence. You can draw people's attention and hold it, seeming to captivate those who you are speaking to. The cult of Nyarlathotep. Nyarlathotep, also known as the Crawling Chaos and the Black Man, is seemingly unique among the Elder Gods because he has taken an active role in the affairs of humanity throughout history. His cultists ardently believe his most famous manifestation was as an Egyptian pharaoh who reshaped religious beliefs and established an enduring magical tradition. But his influence extends beyond Egypt. It includes ancient Central and South American civilizations, as well as Asiatic shamanistic sects. Powers. Master of disguise. Adopt a disguise to go unnoticed, blending into different environments and situations. Propagandist of the Elder Gods. Spread rumors and manipulate public opinion, influencing a large group of people to believe or act in certain ways. Historical knowledge. Access ancient or obscure knowledge to solve puzzles, interpret prophecies, or impress others. Okay, so you say here, the cult of Shub, all hail the black goat of the woods with 1,000 young. This is the only quote with only cult with a 4 quote. Cthulhu has a quote at the end, at the introductory paragraph. Is there a quote that you can add to the beginning of each section to distill the cult in question? Okay, well, you're right. So we should actually move this up if we're going to do it.
Yeah.
Then that should be moved up there. Is there a quote? Okay, that's something we should put to everybody.
Well, I mean, Shub's easy, right? Thank you, Mama Shub. Like, it doesn't have to be a real quote. It can be from the cultists.
Well, it could be, but the cult of Shub is already all hell the black goat.
Oh,
11,000 young.
I'm sure there are quotes that you could pull for each of these.
I'm just going to make note of that to see if I can do that. We don't have to do that. Some people, if you have suggestions, put them in here. But you're right. As the formatting goes, add in a 4 quote for each cult. I think that's a good idea. So Shub-Niggurath is an ancient goddess of fertility, revered as the mother of all abominable creatures. Her worship spans civilizations and eras, from ancient temples like the supposed copper temple of the goat in Mu to secret modern covens. Everybody always laughs at Mu.
Moo, go to Moo.
Secret goat in Mu. in Mu, kind of, in Mu. Probably in copper of the goat in Mu, to secretive in the cultists they'd had pronounced that as Mu. Aren't you from the temple in Mu? Her worshippers conduct secret rituals in forests and sanctify the wilderness in her honor, and tales of her cult's resurgence from the Movian high priest's petrified body to the mysterious Nagob and his ancient scroll intrigue and terrify those who delve into the mysteries of the black goat of the woods. Seduction and charm. Use supernatural charm to seduce or influence others, making them more pliable to your suggestions. Domination. Exercise an overpowering presence that can force others to obey your commands, either through fear or abomination. Admiration. Through fear or admiration. Nature's wrath. Call upon the forces of nature to cause a minor but potentially significant natural occurrence, such as a sudden storm or the appearance of a wild animal. The cult of Yog-Sothoth. So the Yog-Sothoth defies mortal. Oh, I'm gonna check. I've written that down elsewhere, so I'm going to clear that. The cult of Yog-Sothoth. Yog-Sothoth defies mortal comprehension, existing beyond time and space. As a deity of knowledge and gateways, his influence spans occult intelligentsia and ancient magical traditions. Cultists venerate him through rituals tied to stone circles and seek arcane wisdom from forbidden texts. His devotees pursue a quest for ultimate knowledge, aiming to commune directly with him by sharing their brain and all the knowledge it contains, risking annihilation to gain enlightenment. Powers. Necromantic insight. You can seemingly commune with the dead, gaining knowledge or guidance from spirits. Sacrifice of dedication.
Seemingly.
What, remove what?
I said active words seemingly.
Right. Oh, right. Yes. You can seemingly commune with these people. Sacrifice of dedication. You know the necessary right to make a minor sacrifice to the gods, potentially garnering their favor for you and your cult. Officiant of the cult. Your devotion to the elder gods allows you to ignore any distraction, including physical pain, which you might even enjoy when performing a ritual. And then at the end, we do have the sidebar box. Can I play a cultist of the Yellow King? Maybe. In the Cultist web series, the supposed cultists of the Yellow King are the villains of the story, but it's not even clear that the Yellow King's cult actually exists. They might only be a figment of the main character's imaginations. This could be the case in the Cultist RPG as well. However, earlier versions of the Cultist Season 1 script explicitly included the cult of the Yellow King. They represented a much more organized, structured, and capable cult, deliberately meant to contrast with the antics of the main characters. Such a cult could absolutely be introduced into the game as a foil for the player characters, but the players, or the game master if there is one, might also choose the cult of the Yellow King as a more normal cult that players might belong to. If so, the group should create a suitable powers for the cult that fits their vision of the Yellow King in their game.
You know,
yeah,
it might be beneficial to, because you still have like 600 words before you get to 6K. Not that I'm, egging you on to get to 6K, but it might be beneficial to the book to just say, hey, you might be able to play Cult of the Yellow King. Include that sidebar, but then also say, here are some potential spells that you could use for Cult of the Yellow King, and maybe list like 2 or 3 spells that you come up with to sort of, because that's kind of the case in the rest of the book, right? Is that it's always, here's the beat sheet, here's things you can use, but you can make your own. Here's your troubles, but you can make your own. Here's your sway skills, but you can make your own. So, it feels a little incomplete to say you can make your own, but not give any examples.
Not give
but,
suggestions.
You know, yeah, you don't have to.
I
Like,
think we should do that. But let's not do that now.
Yeah,
We do have down here stretch goals listed when we're on Kickstarter. And one of the things that we have that we could make is the profile of the Cult of the Yellow King.
Oh, perfect then. Perfect.
So I think that as a and we would include that like in the players pack so that you would have that there. So I think that would be fun. Like we didn't design things that could be stretch goals, so that if we're on Kickstarter next year, I'm glad that we started this Wednesday night for the cultists. We can all get together on Wednesday night and work through some of these different stretch goals and put them together. So that's we'll do that. That would be a cool idea, and that would be a lot of fun. So we've been at this for over 2 hours now. I'm getting a bit tired too. I've been up since 4 o'clock this morning.
Get some rest.
But it's still not done, even though it's a short rule book. The next things, and I'm still going to reach out to some other people. Let's see. Did you? Oh, you do. Let's actually get to your notes, because that way we can clear your notes. But if you're watching, we do have pre-generated characters, which we can go through at another time, because we combined on the Morning Grind live stream the narrative roles with the cults and created the characters.
And this was such a fun exercise. This was so fun.
Which was a lot of fun. But let me see. We won't look at this tonight. We'll do this at another time. But I do want to make sure that I at least go through all of your notes, Bacon.
Sure.
Which it looks like there are 2 of.
I think if you click the note, it should take you directly down to where they are.
Yeah. Well, I was also showing so the next thing is the beat sheet. So these are the beat sheets that help guide your story, which there are a lot of them, here, and exactly how they're structured. This took a lot of thinking about how to do this. So you on Prophecy Puzzle beat sheet, a newly discovered prophecy contains cryptic clues the cultists must decipher. The crisis foretells an imminent disaster that only the cultists can prevent. This one sounds altruistic. Consider specifically that makes it more selfish. Oh.
And that, I think, is just a suggestion for the comedy. Like, if there's an asteroid hurtling toward their small, middle American town, I don't know if they would really care enough to prevent it from happening, because for all we know, they're going to interpret that as a sign from the elder gods. Maybe it's a disaster, like, for them, for their cult. And that is something that they have to go and try and figure out.
Well, yeah, I tell you, what I was thinking about when I wrote this is that, like, the imminent disaster is the invasion of the Yellow King.
That's great. That's absolutely perfect.
So we need to say foretells an occult imminent disaster.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Or
we're not talking about a hurricane.
Yeah. Or it could also be, a disaster could also be like, there's an abandoned building that they meet in that like some church denomination has bought and is going to put a new sanctuary in there. You know what I mean? That's a complete disaster for the cultists.
For them, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily. It doesn't. So that's something to talk about, because that could be for them, right? It's not necessarily.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So down here, we've got a.
Yeah, I remember reading through all of these and just thinking how they're very, very well thought out. And, again, the vast majority of them, I think you came up with prior to workshopping them in the moment on stream. But the fact that they all got workshopped, I think it buttoned them up pretty solidly.
I think so, too. So the cult's hideout becomes a hotspot for a very popular monster catching alternate reality. No, it's augmented. Augmented reality.
Yeah, I think you may have actually had Pokemon Go in here.
Yeah, I did.
And I was like, Nintendo is litigious. Absolutely not.
A very popular monster catching augmented reality phone app. Should that be? Is augmented reality like monster catching? Actually, seems like it should be.
Yeah, monster catching might be hyphenated, and then augmented reality probably not.
Not Okay, so yeah, so that gets rid of actually saying Pokemon Go. Table of headaches, development notes, and then about the creator, about me. Okay, so that's it. So we didn't go through all the tables and the pre-generated characters. That can be done later, but at least we did all of your notes.
Yep,
And
hit all the
so
notes.
this seems like something that could now go. Of course, you can download the preview. If you do the $500 giveaway, let me put the link down here in case you're coming in. If you that will get you a preview of these rules if you want to read them in a situation where it's not on this live stream. So $500 giveaway, Elder Dice giveaway. It says $500 Elder Dice giveaway and rules preview. Just sign up here and you will get a link to get the PDF. But now I think this could also, since it's had a little bit of time to cool, we went through it again. We went through all of your notes. Now this could also, I could combine this into a PDF, not layout yet, but now I think this PDF could go to people to do like live stream games and things like that.
So, that would be really, really cool. Yeah.
So at least that was another reason that I was like, we should go ahead and do this before I contact some other people to come on the stream on Wednesday night, particularly do watch parties and things like that. I got some people to reach out to. Hopefully we will get some people. But on the other hand, I think we should organize some games for Wednesday night and see how it works.
Yeah, that would be very fun.
All right. Well, hey, also, do we have... Yep. Go subscribe to Bacon's channel. I'll put the link back down here.
Oh, well, thank you.
Subscribe.
I'd be happy to have this.
Better with Bacon. So his link just went into the chat. Make sure you're on his YouTube channel. And if you want to hang out with us and talk about Arcane, it's a different channel, the Table Talk channel. Yes, I got several. Hang out with us tomorrow on Thanksgiving, because I know Bacon's got lots of notes to talk Arcane.
I have lots of unfortunate notes, but I also have a couple positive things to say.
All right, so that will be out. That will be tomorrow night at 7 o'clock Central, so that's 8 p.m. Eastern. I'll be done with Thanksgiving by that time. Hopefully you will be too. But hey, if you're hanging out, we would love to have you. We will have a festive Thanksgiving live stream.
We will
talk about Arcane. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. This was fantastic. I appreciate all the comments. This is better because it's been done through live stream. I mean, all of this. I mean, it always is. So, all right. So I will see. Tomorrow is Thursday. Yeah, tomorrow's Thursday. So we will see everybody tomorrow night on the Table Talk channel. Have a great evening and happy Thanksgiving for tomorrow.
Like and subscribe, everyone.